I forgot this was on. Well, I'm here. We're back. I'll actually talk this time. I was hella tired. I'll actually talk this time. I've been live for 7 minutes. Can I finish this by today? I doubt it. Because we're barely at this part. I haven't even got to the mansion yet. So. Forgot where I left off.
トリックオアトリートは単なるお遊び。本来のケルト人たちの儀式とは何の関係もない。それは後にキリスト教の習慣が混合してできたものなの。でもマリアは本来のハロウィンの姿とはそうあるべきだと思うの。
According to Maria, the souls of the dead weren't the only ones who visited from the non-human world. There were also spirits with intimate connections to people's everyday lives. Humans could receive favors from those spirits, so they'd manage to gain magnificent blessings, as well as a year's worth of good crops.
つまりハロウィンってのは収穫祭の意味も少しはあったわけか。
なるほどな。言われてみりゃ10月ってのは季節的にもいろいろ節目って気がするぜ。日本の4月のちょうど反対側だもんな。なるほど。霧はいいかもしれねえな。
そしてね、魔女たちはね、その時期に魔女集会サバトを開いたの。魔女たちは豊かな恵みをもたらしてくれた精霊たちに感謝しねぎらったの。
ハロウィンの仮装は向こうから来る客人たちの模倣、つまり彼らにお菓子を施すのは1年の収穫への感謝の気持ちがあってもいいわけだね。
ジョージお兄ちゃんの言う通り。
つまりハロウィンはこの世とあの世の交流のある時期ってわけなんだな。それでつまり魔女たちにとってはそういう世界の客人たちと交流できる大切な機会だったと、そう言いたいわけか。
バトラの言う通り。だからね魔女たちや悪魔たちの力が最も活発で盛んになるのが10月なの。きっとベアトリーチェも来てくれる。そしてね、一緒にマシュマロお菓子食べてマリアも黄金鏡に連れてってもらうの。一緒に魔法のお歌を歌って魔法の呪文を習って魔法陣の書き方を習うの。そしてね、ルーンの秘密を習って早くマリアを立派な魔女にしてもらうの。
あらあら、それは素敵ね。子供は夢があるのが一番よ。ところでローザ、マリアちゃんは今年でいくつになったんだったかしら。
マリア、もうそのお話は終わりにしなさい。
気にしないでローザさん。女の子なら誰だって一度は思い描く夢じゃない。
ありがとうございます。でももうマリアはそういう年を卒業していますので。こら、やめなさいと言ってるでしょ。
Rosa scolded Maria, trying to shut her up before the cheery discussion about black magic earned her the snickers of the relatives.
へえ。
Dude, I don't like Maria's
そい
face
つは
when
なん
she
だ
gets
か
like that,
スケー
bro.
ルのでかい話だな。ところで
It's just
ベア
bad
トリーチェ
vibes,
っ
bro.
て誰だっけ。なんだっけ。聞いた名前だな。
Badler had been gone for 6 years and had completely forgotten about the legend of the Rokenjima witch. However, when he said he didn't know Beatrice's name, Maria, once bright, moved soured in an instant. When he saw that, Badler immediately remembered that it was the name of the witch of this island. The damage had been done. Till Maria's mood improved, she went on and on about many mysterious and fabulous episodes regarding the Golden Witch.
もうよしなさいマリア。ありがとうねバトラ君、お話に付き合ってくれて。カノン君、お仕事があるんでしょ。もう行ってちょうだい。ゴーダさん、みんなとりあえず荷物を置きたがってると思うの。悪いんだけど、みんなをゲストハウスへ案内してくれるかしら。
かしこまりました。それでは皆様、
So this
ゲ
is
ストハウスへ
different.
ご案内いたします。
I feel like the outcomes are different because
それでは、
what happened
失
here.
礼いたします。
Well, Cannon was nowhere to be seen after the incident where the wheelbarrow got fucked. So if he's here, then that's probably meaning that this route isn't gonna turn out exactly the same. Which I'd guess, but like I don't know how they were gonna do it. There was a bright red mark there, making it clear how much excessive force she had been using on Maria's slender arm. That hand then slapped against Maria's head, pinched her left ear, and lifted.
魔女の話はするなといつも言ってるでしょうが。それはママとの約束だといつも言っているでしょ。
Oh no, the evil witch Rosa.
ハロウィンハロウィンうるさいのよあんたは。魔女のお祭り？ケルト人が何よ、黒魔術が何よ、バカじゃないの。あんた9歳よ9歳。電車であんなに騒ぐからわざわざ電車降りてまでその蛍光塗料みたいな気持ち悪いお化けマシュマロを買ってやったのよ。遅刻してまであんたに買ってやったのよ。あんたどこまで私の顔を潰せば気が済むのよ。
As Rosa cursed, she twisted Maria's ear up almost as though she was about to tear it off. An expression of anguish spread across Maria's face while she frantically stood on her tippy toes, trying to soften the pain in that ear. Rosa suddenly grabbed the candy that Maria had been holding. Ooh, she crushed it. Ooh, damn, this route is definitely different. She threw it on the ground and said it over and over. To Maria, it was supposed to be proof of a memory of a brief span of time when her mother brought something fun for her, but now the same mother was grinding it to the ground right in front of her. It was as though a brand had been pushed into Maria's eyes, leaving a mark that could never be erased.
こんな気持ち悪いお菓子が何よ。気持ち悪い気持ち悪い。あんたがそんなんだから、あんたがそんなんだから。気持ち悪い気持ち悪い気持ち悪い。
As she said that, she struck Maria's head over and over again with her palm. She didn't hit Maria's face, because the red swelling would stand out. Maria closed her eyes tightly, patiently bearing her mother's violence. No, that wasn't quite it.
帰ってきてママ、帰ってきてママ、助けてママ、助けてママ、悪い魔女に打ち勝って。
She kept bearing Rosa's assault, muttering that over and over.
だからその魔女ってのをやめろつってんのよ。この
Rosa, tired from hitting her daughter, breathed so hard her shoulders shook. Mia grasped her hands together, withstanding it, hoping her mother would return soon.
早く帰ってきて。マリアを助けてよママ。悪い魔女をやっつけてよ。
いつまでもそこでそうしていなさい。そしてそこで魔女でもハロウィンでもいつまでもブツブツ一人で言ってればいいのよ。
After hurling those words at Maria, Rosa left in the direction of the guest house, leaving Maria behind. Shit, man. Maria, forgetting even that it was okay to cry, kept staring down at the jack-o'-lantern candy that had been trampled beyond recognition. Come on, Rosa. Ugh.
らローザ、どこ行ってたの？
ごめんなさい。バラが素敵だったものでついつい。
ローザ、早く荷物を置いてこいよ。兄貴んとこへ挨拶に行こうぜ。
ん？マリアちゃんはどうしたんや？まだ花壇におるんかいな。
ええ、気に入ったバラがあるみたいで世話をするって言って聞かなくて、しばらくは好きにさせることにしました。
女の子には女の子の世界があったことを私たちはたまに忘れるわ。時には尊重してあげないとね。
そうね。お気遣いをありがとう、キリエ姉さん。ゴーダさん、私たちの部屋はどこ？
ご案内いたします。こちらでございます。お荷物をお持ちいたしましょう。
結構よ。自分で持てます。ありがとう。
Rosa went into her room, guided by Goda. She then closed the door somewhat violently and threw her luggage on top of the bed. She got down on her knees in front of the bed, burying her face in it. For a while, Rosa made as if to shed the sheets with her fingernails, sobbing constantly. Shred, not shed.
マリア様、大丈夫ですか？
Cannon appeared from behind a thicket after watching Rosa leave. Damn, he saw that. She's back.
平気だよ。
Maria gave a creepy laugh, but to Cannon, who had seen the whole thing, it looked like she was enduring as best she could.
最低のやつだ。あれで母親なんて。
True.
仕方ないよ。その程度の器にはその程度のが入り込む。マリアは全然平気だよ。
Cannon got down on his knees and picked up the trampled candy. It was tragic just looking at it. He thought about dusting it off and returning it to her, but really couldn't do so without that in that condition. Just as he was wondering what to do, he met Maria's gaze. No, that wasn't quite right. Maria was looking at the candy Cannon had picked up. Right now, Maria's heart was surely the same as the candy that had been trampled into a pulp. Cannon realized this but didn't know what he should do.
そうだ。さっき僕がもらったのと交換してあげるよ。
Cannon remembered that a similar candy he'd received from Maria was in his pocket. Maria stuck out her hand. Cannon thought she was trying to take it, so he held out the candy, but Maria didn't try to grasp it. Then Cannon realized she was saying, "Give it back." No matter how tragic and trampled it was, this candy was Maria's. Her mother had bought it for her. No matter how tragic, it had to be this candy and no other. If only it were intact enough that it could be fixed by dusting it off. Cannon hung his head.
僕には誇りを払う程度しかできない。ごめん。
Cannon held out the miserable-looking candy Maria wanted. She took it and spoke.
ありがとう。人間には誇りしか払えないけど、魔女には元通りに直すことができるよ。ベアトリーチェなら簡単にね。
マリア様はベアトリーチェ様のことをご存知なのですか？
Except for Badler, there was no way anyone related to the Ushiromiya family could have failed to know Beatrice's name. But just now, Maria had bragged about Beatrice to Badler. She had spoken almost as though she was meeting with Beatrice regularly. Cannon felt a sharp pain inside his left hand, which was curled into a fist. In the past, a witch called Beatrice had appeared to tempt him in Shannon. He'd always tried to think of it as a bad dream. However, Shannon insisted that it definitely was a real witch. And then, this summer, the shrine of the local Shinto god was hit by lightning, disappearing without a trace over the span of a single night. He knew about Shannon breaking that mirror. Ooh, okay. And he remembered that, as the witch departed, she said she'd eventually be revived. And now, this girl who believed absolutely in Beatrice spoke as though she'd met Beatrice herself. Kennen couldn't suppress a vague sense of foreboding welling up in his heart. Damn, stop looking at me like that! For a while, Maria remained silent, as though she could see into Kennen's heart, almost as though she was waiting for a memory of Beatrice to be revived. And then she spoke as though it was a fact.
マリアはね、ベアトリーチェとお友達なの。今日だって会って一緒に遊ぶよ。
遊びますか？
うん、遊ぶよ。一緒にね、魔法のお勉強をするの。
The face of that witch whom Kennen had tried to pretend was a bad dream began to slowly creep into the back of his mind.
お父様は研究で大変ご多忙と仰せです。残念ながらこちらへはおいでになれないとのことです。
やれやれ。こちとら秋の大忙しの中、日程をつけてはるばる六軒島まで来てるんだぜ。親父も少しは愛想をよくしてもらいたいもんだぜ。
本当よね。南條先生、本当に研究や機嫌の問題なの？ベッドから起き上がれないくらいに容体が悪いって言うんじゃないの？
さて、どうでしょうかな。私の口からは何とも。
Nanjo glanced at Natsuhi. It seemed he thought it wasn't his place to speak without first getting Natsuhi's approval.
お父様はますますにご健康でいらっしゃいます。寝たきりなどと失礼極まりない。
True.
でも余命3ヶ月なんでしょ？普通に考えれば痩せ衰えてベッドからも起きられないはずよ。でしょ、南條先生？
波の患者ならそうでしょうがな。金蔵さんは並外れた気力をお持ちです。あの気迫にお迎えも恐れて近寄れないのかもしれませんな。
それほどまでにお元気なら少なくとも安心ね。
そこまで元気ならせめて挨拶くらいはさせてほしいもんなんだがな。親族会議ってのは親父の顔を見に来たって意味なんだぜ。これじゃあ何のために来たのかわからねえぜ。
そう言うな。いればいたで心が休まらないといつもぼやくのだろうが。兄弟一同水入らずで今年も全員欠けることなく集まれたことを喜ぼうじゃないかね。
昨年の親族会議でも会えなかったのよ。血を分けた子供たちが2年ぶりに挨拶したいというのがどうして理解してもらえないのかしら。
挨拶の言葉があるのでしたら私どもがお伝えします。それともエヴァさん、何かお父様にお会いして挨拶以上のお話でもあられるのですか？
いやね、何の話よも
う。予算かエヴァ。夏井さん、堪忍な。エヴァも娘としてお父さんの病状が不安なだけなんや。ちょいと気持ちを汲み取ってな。
その通りだな。エヴァは親父殿が余命を宣告されてから急に親孝行をするようになったじゃないか。なるほど。その姿をぜひ見てもらいたいという気持ちもわからなくない。
何が言いたいのよ。
よせよ姉貴、晩飯までには機嫌を直してくれるよう祈ろうじゃねえか。それに俺たちは 到着したばかり。まずは軽く挨拶に訪れただけだぜ。親族会議は親父抜きだってできる。いや、兄弟で意見を統一してからじゃなきゃ話せねえことだっていろいろあるはずな、秀吉兄さん。
そうや、ルドルフ君の言う通りや。わしらが全員顔を揃えるのは年に一度しかない。貴重な時間を大事にし、忌憚ない話し合いをせんといかん。
Even though the tea hadn't arrived yet, they were very determined.
でもその前に本家の素晴らしい調度品に囲まれた客間でのんびりと紅茶を楽しむゆとりがあってもいいんじゃないかしら。
Kiryu's words seemed to contain a subtle admonition directed at everyone gathered there. They all understood, and as they cleared their throats and straightened their neckties, the atmosphere in the room returned to normal for a time.
失礼します。
Shannon!
お茶をお持ちいたしました。
Was good.
よーし、シャノンちゃん、ますますべっぴんさんになったな。
Shannon entered the parlor, pushing the serving cart. Everyone decided to relax and enjoy some black tea for the time being. A wonderful aroma began to spread throughout the room. As far as anyone could see, the strained atmosphere from before Shannon's arrival seemed like a lie. Of course, Shannon, who was setting up the tea, probably didn't even notice. Kyrie seemed to laugh faintly at how adult everyone was suddenly acting. Rudolph didn't like it when Kyrie took the initiative and spoke at the family conference. It was his worthless male pride. He probably didn't want to look like a weak man who took advice from his wife. She understood that and did her best to refrain from saying any more than was necessary. So, she separated herself from the circle of siblings who only superficially appeared to be enjoying some time together alone and casually drank her tea near the window. Oh.
あら、ローザさん、兄弟で水いらずなのでは？
ご冗談を。
ごめんなさい。気を悪くしないで。うちの夫に呆れてるだけだから。
Apparently, Rosa hadn't been able to keep up with the on-the-surface friendliness. They'd come here to fight bloodily and dirtily, each trying to grab a part of the inheritance for themselves. She probably didn't like suddenly pretending that they were all chummy. Or maybe she was still too immature for that.
だいぶ風が出てきているようですね。
It's good not to be fake, Rosa. I respect that.
枝葉があんなに揺れて。
もう台風が近くまで来ているのでしょうね。今夜あたりからはだいぶ降るのかしら。
マリアちゃん、この1年で随分立派になりましたね。
そう見えます。未だに自分のお洋服を畳むことすらできないんですよ。
ええ、こんなにも愛情たっぷりなお母さんと一緒なんですもの。心の豊かな子に成長しますよ。
Rosa fell silent. I like Rosa's pose when she's like that. Maybe she wasn't sure as to what Kyrie meant by that.
私なんて母親失格ですよ。子に生まれる親は選べない。あの子がかわいそうで。
お互い様じゃないですか。親だって生まれる子は選べない。
Rosa bit her lower lip.
どちらが悪いとかじゃなくて、一緒に生きていくんだという気持ちでゆっくり成長を見守ってあげればいいじゃないですか。ローザさんは毎日をマリアちゃんと過ごしてるから小さな変化に気づかないかもしれないけれど、1年ぶりに再会した私たちにはその大きな成長ぶりがよくわかりますよ。
もし本気で言ってくれてるならありがとうございます。
それでは失礼いたします。ご用がありましたらいつでもお呼びつけください。
Shannon bowed politely and left the room. as Hideyoshi and Rudolph, who had a soft spot for women, watched her go. The atmosphere in the room began to revert back to what it had been right before Shannon's visit. Okay.
お父様がいらっしゃられないなら、それはそれでできる話もあるというものよ。ねえ、ルドルフ。
ああ、そうだな。俺たちははるばるここまで埃の匂いがする紅茶を飲みに来たわけじゃねえぜ。
よかろう。一秒を争ってお前たちがしたいという話を聞こうじゃないか。
やれやれ、たくましい人たちね。早速始めたわ。
私も加わらないといけないわ。あの人たち、私が主張しないと4人兄弟であることをすぐ忘れるから。
あなたも大変ね。ちょっと言葉を選ばなかったかしら。ごめんなさい。
ううん、気にしてません。こちらこそごめんなさい。私たち互いに娘を持つ母親同士なんだから、いっつも会えば変な話ばかりで。
この屋敷の空気のせいよ。ここの空気を嗅ぐと、いっつも私、ローザさんとは親族会議じゃない席で一度ゆっくりお茶でも飲みたいわ。銀座に行きつけの素敵な喫茶店があるの。ぜひ今度招待させて。
ありがとうキリエス。その時はぜひ。
いやね。
That was a perfect transition.
急に空が暗くなってきたわ。
Okay, never mind. The music started again.
まるでこの部屋の人たちが天気を悪くしてるみたい。もうゴロゴロ鳴ってるわ。あら、ぽつりと来たかしら。
There really were small splashes of rain on the glass of the parlor window. Weather seemed to have worsened faster than expected. Just then, a silent thunder. Whoa! Oh, okay. In her head, a silent thunderbolt struck inside Rosa's head, and she remembered that her beloved child was out in the rose garden. Normal girl who would try to go inside if the weather got bad, but Maria was different. She would sometimes get stubborn and refuse to move if rain or even spears fell from the sky. That's right. I told that child to just stay there doing that forever, didn't I? Everyone looked back at Rosa when she let out a small scream.
なんだ、どうしたんだね。
ごめんなさい。ちょっと表に行ってきます。すぐ戻ります。
なんだなんだ、どうしたってんだあいつ。
いいじゃない、すぐ戻るわよ。それより始めたら、私たちの本題。
そうね、ローザ抜きでも進められる話よ。話を戻しましょう。
Rosa dashed from the entrance hall into the rose garden. Shit, man. When she opened the door, the wind... Okay, also, it's like 2 a.m. Is it 2 a.m.? It's probably 3 a.m. by now. It's 2:30 a.m. So, like, I know what's gonna happen, but when they fucking abruptly stop the music like that and say some words that, like, not trigger me, but, like, are, like, foreboding and shit, that's when I start getting creeped out. Even though I know, like, what is gonna happen in the near future. Like, not anything, like, spoilery. Like, you know, obviously Maria was there, Rosa is gonna forget, then she'll come out and fucking try to find her. Like, I knew that was gonna happen the whole time after Rosa left her, but, you know, that's just, this still spooked me. This shit still spooked me. Just as Kyria had said, the wind was mixed in with small droplets of rain. There was also a low rumble of thunder. It could start raining anytime. Rosa, oh, and when they have this fucking... Oh, this game does a really good job with their illustrations, because they make the atmosphere match what it's trying to convey. Rosa headed for the rose garden. She headed for the place where she had scolded Maria a short while ago. It was almost lunchtime. The children had been told to come to the mansion around lunchtime, so they were probably in the guest house waiting to be called. Even if Maria didn't come to them, they would surely think I took her to the mansion with me, and wouldn't worry much. After all, she had been with her mother, so there should have been no reason to worry. I was here and I abandoned my daughter to the worsening weather.
Maria! いるの？いるなら返事をして！
I was right. She was still standing, shocked still, exactly the same way she had been in the place where I had scolded her. Held in her hand was the candy I had bought, given her, and then stepped on and crushed. With that gripped in her hand, she stood there as the powerful winds whipped in her hair about, tormenting her.
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。ごめんね、マリア。ママを許して。
ママ、おかえり。マリア、ママが帰ってくるのずっと待ってた。怖い魔女につねられたけど我慢してママが帰ってくるの泣かずに待ってた。マ
リア、ママを許して。ママを許して。
ママは悪くないの。また悪い魔女に取りつかれただけなの。だから平気。ママ大好き。愛してる。
ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。悪い魔女に負けた。ママを許して。
Rosa buried her face in Maria's small chest, crying and begging forgiveness. And once again those tears dripped down after who knows how many times. If only the brilliant sun had been shining down on the two of them, all of their cares would have been evaporated, and it might have felt like they could begin anew. However, what surrounded the two of them was the worsening weather. Sadly, there were only fierce winds with associated thunder. The sound of Maria sniffling brought Rosa to her senses. If Maria stood exposed to the wind for too long, she'd probably catch a cold.
さあ、マリア、もうすぐお昼よ。ママと一緒にお屋敷に行きましょ
う。行かない。
どうして？
Rosa thought she had already received Maria's forgiveness, so she hadn't imagined Maria would refuse. But that expression on Maria's face didn't look like that of a child resisting her mother. So Rosa couldn't understand why Maria wanted to stand still, pointlessly, as the weather grew even worse. Maria answered that question.
ベアトリーチェがね、もうすぐ来るの。だから待ってるの。
マリア。
Rosa struggled to find the words for a moment, then fell silent. They'd only just managed to make up, after all. She chose her words carefully, trying to get Maria to come with her to the mansion without denying the witch outright.
ベアトリーチェが来るの？そう、ならここじゃなくてお屋敷の中で待ちましょう。いつまでもこんな風の中にいたら風邪をひいてしまうわ。
来る！ベアトリーチェは来る！そしたらね、ベアトリーチェにね、お菓子あげるの。トリックオアトリートするの。ジャックオーランタンのマシュマロお菓子あげて、ハッピーハロウィーンって言うの。
Maria pulled yet another sweet out of her handbag, moaning, "Ooh, ooh." Rosa was bewildered and didn't know what to do, as Maria started being difficult again. At that time, there was a sudden blast of thunder. It was probably a sign that this island had been sealed off by the storm, detached from common sense and reality. So after this moment, all common sense would probably cease to apply. The wind blew even stronger, and amidst that blizzard of scattered rose petals, a figure appeared, leaving Rosa unable to imagine that this was a scene from reality. It was probably, no, definitely, fantastical. After all, that shadow of a person was... Dun, 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 dun. Wait, what? Okay. She's in the school outfit? School uniform? Okay. I dig it. Maria dashed over to the shadow. Normally, Rosa would scold her daughter if she dashed over to someone whom she hadn't seen before and didn't know. But Rosa forgot to do that, wasn't able to do anything but stand there, stunned.
久しぶりよ。元気であったか？
マリアは元気。魔女は風邪をひかない。
魔女は呪いにて風邪をひかせはするが、自らがひいては何とも間抜けな話よ。せいぜい自らが風邪をひくことなどないよ。これからも精進するがいい。
She patted Maria's head as she said this, smiling roguishly. Rosa couldn't have known the name of the woman who was happily spoiling Maria. However, Maria had called it out in the beginning when the woman appeared. So, even though Rosa had never met her, even though the woman still hadn't introduced herself, Rosa was able to know her name. However, that name held a special meaning on Hokenji-men in the Ushiromiya family. There's no way something that stupid could be.
Beatrice, Happy Halloween!
You're 28 days too early, Maria. 27 days too early.
ハッピーハロウィン。ほう、これをわらわにとは天国にも地獄にも行けず、煉獄の闇にてさまよう男の唯一の明かりも、こうして歌手となれば人の世とも人ならざる者との世とも切り離された今のこの島で、これほどふさわしい歌詞はないかもしれぬな。マリア、それはどうしたのか。
The witch noticed the sweet Maria was grasping. It was Maria's candy, which had been stomped on by Rosa until it reached this pitiful state.
おお、踏んづけて潰れちゃった。ベアとは元に戻せる？
Maria didn't go so far as to say that it was her mother who'd stepped on it. However, for some reason, when the witch saw that candy, she looked at Rosa and grinned. A chill went down Rosa's spine, as though this gaze was staring straight through her.
たやすいことよ。貸すがよい。
Maria held the candy out gleefully. Rosa could do nothing but watch, stunned. How did this person plan to trick Maria, somehow undoing the fact that the candy had been pitifully trampled? Maria looked as though she believed it could be fixed as good as new. Without real magic, there was no way such a thing could be possible.
これは見事に潰れているな。さあさあマリア、目を閉じて思い出してごらんなさい。本当はあんなにも素敵なお菓子だったから、思い出の中のお菓子はいつもふっくら。だからあなたも思い出してごらんなさい。本当はどんなお菓子だったのか。
Along with those strange words, spoken as though singing an improvised folk song, the witch threw the sweet into the air. Maria was closing her eyes and remembering, just as the witch had told her to. What shape had that crushed candy really had? Therefore, only Rosa saw that scene. The sweet that had been thrown into the air burst into a gold color. No, that wasn't it. Those were golden butterflies. It scattered into several golden butterflies and then began to gather at the witch's hand, which was held up to the sky. And as she did this, unbelievably, it returned to its beautiful original form. No, different from when it had been bought. Only Rosa and the witch witnessed that scene. Unable to comprehend what was occurring right before her eyes, Rosa stood there with her mouth hanging open, completely forgetting to shut it.
もう目を開けてよいぞ。受け取るがよ。これでそなたの歌詞も元通りだ。
ベアトリーチェはいつもすごいすごい。
There was a stark contrast between Rosa's shock and Maria's innocent joy. Was that the witch? Was that what the witch was laughing at? A smile floated to Beatrice's face, one different from the smile she'd shown Maria.
わらわの顔がそうまじまじと見られては穴も開こうぞ。
ごめんなさい。
Those words triggered something very clearly in Rosa's mind. Rosa knew this face. She knew it from the portrait of the witch. But no, wait. Could this mystery woman really be?
マリア、この歌詞の代わりにそなたにはこれを与えよう。
おお、 手紙？
The witch pulled a western envelope from her pocket and gave it to Maria. However, when Maria made to open it, the witch stopped her.
ならぬ。それを開けるときはすぐに訪れるの。それまで決して開けてはならぬ。大事に持っているがよい。
黄金鏡、やっと連れてってくれるんだね。
大事にしまっておくのだぞ。誰にも見せてはならぬ。
守る。魔女との約束は絶対に守る。
そしてこれはそなたへ。
私。
She probably hadn't imagined that the witch would speak to her, too. Rosa was bewildered by the second western envelope, which was thrust before her. She'd seen this type of envelope before. There could be no mistake. It was one of Kinzo's special envelopes used when he wrote with his own hand and bearing the Ushiromiya family crest. It was sealed with red sealing wax, and furthermore, it had a mark that seemed to have been made by the head's ring. In other words, even without asking what was inside this letter, Rosa knew that this woman, whom Maria called Beatrice, was trusted enough to be placed in charge of a personal letter of the current Ushiromiya head.
4兄弟の誰でもよかった。だが、ここでそなたと出会ったということは、金蔵のルーレットがそなたを選んだということなのだろう。ならば受け取るがよい。
Rosa looked back and forth several times between the witch's face and the envelope that had been handed to her. Today was the family conference, and the biggest object of discussion would be the inheritance problem. So she had joined together with Ava and Rudolph, and they planned to force a certain condition on Kraus to try and extort several 100 million yen in cash out of him. It was as if the witch could see through all of that. What does she intend to announce when all the siblings are gathered? And with a personal envelope that no one but the Ushiromiya family head can use.
マリア、天気が崩れるぞ。ゲストハウスへ戻り、昼を待つがよい。それではローザ、後ほど会おう。その席で改めて名乗らせてもらおうぞ。
The witch turned back to her, laughing. Then she began to head towards the mansion with an air of composure. Maria energetically called out and watched her go, and then began to dash towards the guest house, leaving Rosa behind. As though she wanted to inform the other cousins of her fortunate meeting with the witch as soon as she could. At last, Rosa was left alone in the rose garden as the winds grew stronger, unable to do anything but pray that what had happened was just a daydream. When the witch reached the entrance hall, Genji could be seen there. Genji welcomed the guest approaching from the entrance hall with a respectful bow.
お待ちいたしておりました。
ビアトリス様。
久しぶりだな、源氏。老いたではないか。
どれほどに老いようとも、家具は家具らしく、最後までお務めを果たすのみでございます。
晴れの妻がお前に嫉妬したことも懐かしい。金蔵は元気か？
大変お元気にございます。
The witch probably laughed because she knew Kinzo's own doctor had announced that Kinzo didn't have long to live. However, if anyone actually looked at Kinzo and noticed his vigor, which wasn't at all what you'd expect from someone nearing the end of his life, they might easily call that doing extremely well. Maybe that's what the witch was laughing at.
挨拶に行こうではないか。30年ぶりに互いに呪いの言葉を吐き合うもよかろう。
As the witch grinned, she started walking, leaving Genji behind. Her gait was like that of a family member who knew the inside of the mansion well. Genji followed her in the manner of one who served her. At that time, Kirie came out of the parlor. She'd probably gone out to fix her makeup or something. And when she saw Genji following a witch, she was surprised, although her expression did not change. A guest for Kinzo had arrived, despite him being almost dead, on the day of the family conference when the fate of the inheritance was to be decided. And furthermore, this person was familiar enough with the Ushiromiya family household that Genji was following behind her. Kirie immediately realized that this person she had never met before was deeply important. Kirie and the witch's eyes met. Realizing that it would be rude to pretend not to notice, she greeted the witch.
はじめまして。
ルドルフの5歳だったか。
さようでございます。ルドルフ様の今の奥方様であられます。キリエ様でございます。
From this exchange, Kirie realized that this was a guest of fairly high rank, even amidst the Urushinomai family. And the fact that this was a guest on that level, coupled with her resemblance to the portrait in the entrance hall, made Kirie's eyes instantly open wide. A surprised Kirie. Are you gonna see that? Ooh, what? It changed. What? Wow. Oh, Kirie doesn't even look surprised.
はじめまして。キリエと申します。初対面でしょうか。もし以前に挨拶をしていたなら、名前を忘れてしまって申し訳ございません。
うすうすは想像がついているくせに、わらわにあえて名乗らそうというのか。
Kirie thought she'd given a sociable and humble greeting. Her expression grew slightly cloudy at that openly impressive response. At any rate, this didn't seem to be a person she could quote alike. But if Kirie's guesses were correct, this witch probably held a vital key to what her own husband was most interested in. Something that couldn't help but influence tonight's family conference. So without shooting back a retort, Kirie silently watched her go up the stairs to the second floor, with Genji following behind. So the fact that Shannon broke the mirror means that people who don't have the gene, or the wavelength, can see her? I'm assuming because... well, Kirie could have had that wavelength before. Well, we'll know for a fact if we see the family members, because none of the family members have a good wavelength. They're like the direct descendants of Kinzo, so we'll see. I love that soundtrack though. So, when someone tapped her shoulder from behind, she was so surprised she almost choked. It was... Natsuhi?
キリエさん、このようなところに立ち尽くしていかがなさいましたか。
ごめんなさい。ちょっと魔女の肖像画に見とれていただけです。
黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェですか。今日の後宮家の復興は彼女が授けた黄金がなければ成し遂げられなかったとか。お父様らしい幻想的なお話ですね。
Natsui spoke in a perfectly ordinary way. It was the sort of comment you'd expect from someone convinced that the thought of a witch existing was ridiculous, no more than another of Kinzo's ramblings. However, for some reason, that point of view didn't seem quite right to Kirie now. Just a moment ago, she herself had seen the Golden Witch come in from the entrance hall and climb up the stairs. So, Natsuhi's words made it feel as though someone was trying to deny the existence of that person, or else make it seem like that she was never there to begin with.
ごめんなさい。少し頭痛がする気がして、ちょっと休もうと思います。
あら、そうですか。なら、良い頭痛薬がありますよ。用意させましょう。
Well, I'm really curious how this is going to play out, because Beatrice seems like she'll have a more bold role in this episode. The hallway in front of Kinzo's study was filled with the scent of sweet poison, peculiar to that of green liquor. Genji, who was completely used to it, did not grimace. And the Golden Witch didn't grimace either, because she can't smell.
この中からどれほど出ぬのか。
すでに数年になるかと思います。
Nasty ass nigga.
それほどまでにわらわをカゴの鳥としたいか。哀れな。それを願うそなたが書斎の亡霊ではないか。それに気づけぬとは哀れな男よ。
あなた様と再びお会いする日までは、おそらく文字通り亡霊となっても研究を続けられるでしょう。
愛か狂気か猛襲か、それも講じれば魔力となるか。悲しき魔術師よ。
The witch grasped the doorknob to the study. When she did, there was a sound like that of flesh burning and splitting open. It was the sound of the doorknob literally burning the witch's hand.
ベアトリーチェ様。
なんだこれは。魔除けか。あやつめ、こんなものに頼らなければおのがみも保てぬ。
その扉はベアトリーチェ様にはおつらいものと伺っております。私がお開けいたしましょうか。
いや、よい。あやつが勝てばわらわは永遠のカゴの鳥。あやつが負ければ愛に狂い全てを失った哀れな魔術師の生涯が笑い草となって残るだけ。もはや金蔵もわらわさえもゲーム盤に並べられた駒に過ぎぬ。あとはルーレットの目が勝敗を分けるだけよ。ルーレットが目を見せるまでわらわと金蔵が再会する必要はない。
The witch looked at her hand, which was beginning to heal bit by bit, even though it had been horribly burned.
あるいはそのための魔除けなのか。なるほど、それもまた潔し。すべては今や金蔵のゲーム盤の上よ。気に入ったぞ金蔵。そなたとのゲーム楽しませてもらうぞ。わらわに恋焦がれすべての生涯を投げ出したローマ術師の最後のギャンブル、その散りざまを楽しませてもらうぞ。
Damn. Wow, it's barely noon. Man, I want it to be night, bro. That's when the action's gonna happen. But we'll see what happens. Let's see the kids' perspective. I don't see them at all.
誰か。
Hold on, let me see. The mysterious visitor, 19th person who appeared on the day of the family conference. She goes by the same name as the golden witch who gave the gold to Kinzo. The reasons for visiting are unknown. She was ushered into the VIP room, which no one has been allowed to use in the past. Damn, she got thigh highs? What the f... Wait, what the f... Damn, so that's what I saw. That's the manga spread I saw. I was like, I thought she wore a dress. Nah, she's just in a school outfit. They're in uniform. I dig that. Is there anyone else? No. No, but any new descriptions? Oh, I guess not.
失礼いたします。昼食をお持ちいたしました。入れ。失礼いたします。
I've never seen that sprite from Kennen. After receiving approval, Kennen entered the VIP room, pushing the serving cart that carried lunch. The servants called this room the Witch's VIP room. That was because Kinzo strictly ordered that it always be kept clean so that it could be used at any time. Even so, guests would not be allowed in this room no matter who they were. That's why, at some point, the servants had started calling it the VIP room, which is supposed to be set aside only to welcome the special person Kinzo waited for, the witch from that portrait. And today, Kennen realized that this was absolutely true. Ooh, I like this setting. When he entered the room, the blonde-haired witch was gazing out the window. Outside, the rain was no longer falling weakly. As she looked out at the beautiful rose garden, which had been tended to over several days for today's sake, and she saw the winds and rain ravaging, was she struck by some sentimental feelings? Kana was not able to tell anything more from her back, which faced him.
お食事の用意をさせていただきます、ベアトリーチェ様。
Kana went out of his way to call out the witch's name, hoping that she'd turn around. He wanted to know. He wanted to know if the witch who tempted him and Shannon in the past had really appeared again. When he did, the witch whose name has been called laughed, her back still facing him. Holding back her voice, she laughed. Cannon was startled. It was almost as if she had read his mind and knew that he had called out to her, hoping to make her turn around.
良い匂いだな。どうやらクラウスは良い料理人を入れたと見える。
はい、近年入ったゴーダという料理人です。
料理の腕が良きことは何にも勝るものよ。美食は人の世で生きる快楽の山中をなす。千年を飽きぬにはこれを欠かさぬが秘訣よ。
Cannon and the witch's eyes met. Then she grinned. Without a doubt, certainly. This was clearly the witch from that day, Beatrice. The witch that no one but he and Shannon could see in the past finally held forth, and had arrived openly as a guest through the entrance hall.
ベアトリーチェ様。
久しぶりよの家具のカノン。
お久しぶりでございます。
Cannon tried to remember to be polite to this guest for the time being, but the visit of this suspicious witch made dark clouds start to enshroud his heart, especially considering that today was the family conference.
何をしに現れたのかと気が気でならぬと見える。そうであろう。
Cannon didn't force an answer. This witch probably reads minds, so it's pointless to go to the trouble of saying it out loud. Of course, she could have read his inner resistance. So the witch giggled at Cannon's childish defiance.
金蔵との最後の約束を果たしに来た。
親方様との最後の約束。
わらわは金蔵に、いやそれを金蔵が放棄するとき、わらわは利子をつけて返却を受けることになっておる。今宵それをもらい受けに来た。
僕には何の話かわかりません。
However, uncertainty began to gather in his heart. Whatever this witch had to say, it couldn't be anything
good. 違いない。魔女の話にろくなものはないぞ。そなたは正しい。されど、魔女とハサミは使いようだ。ソロモン王のように偉業を成し遂げる者も時にはおる。最も多くの場合は童話が語るようにろくな目には合わんがな。しかし金蔵も食えぬ。わらわの利子の取り立てすらも自らの儀式に取り込みよった。わらわをも超えるとてつもない大魔術師か。さもなければ狂気に取りつかれたただの知れ者か。面白い。実に面白い。
Cannon couldn't guess what the witch was muttering and laughing about. All he knew was that anything that made this witch laugh must have the exact opposite meaning for everyone else. And in the back of his mind, the horrifying words the witch had spat at him in the past began to resurface. What, did you think I'd lend you my power and ask nothing in exchange? I'll gladly assist a pair in love. And in exchange, I'll enjoy watching the cruel fate they'll eventually meet. I've never come across a better show, not over the course of 1,000 years.
Masaka, お前は
懐かしき故郷を貫く鮎の川、黄金鏡を目指す者よ。これを下りて鍵を探す。
The witch suddenly began to recite a bizarre poem. It was something he remembered hearing.
それはまさか魔女の碑文。
There was no mistake. It was the epitaph that accompanied the portrait of the witch Kinzo had put on display. The relatives had guessed that it referred to the location of the hidden gold, but no one knew what it meant for sure. The witch suddenly began reciting that epitaph.
カノン、家具である貴様なら金蔵から聞いていよう。すべてを黄金鏡へ返す日がやってきたのだ。喜ぶがいい。
The day when you will be freed from the shame of living as furniture has finally arrived.
お前はそれをずっと望んできたはず。自らに存在価値を持たぬ家具にとってただ存在するだけの日々は苦痛に他ならない。魂ある者にとって写し世は固執すべきものだが、亡き者にとって写し世は苦害でしかないからの。
Damn it, I skipped their laugh. Complicated expressions flitted across Cannon's face. This was the day of release that Cannon had been looking forward to. However, the coming of this day had been mercilessly sudden, and for some reason he didn't like the hateful tone used by this witch as she informed them of the coming of this long-awaited day of rest. Cannon couldn't even decide what emotion he should be feeling.
なぜに喜ばぬ？それとも写し世に何かの未練があるというのか？家具の分際で。
未練などない。僕は家具だから。
貴様は実に模範的な家具だな。よいよい。しかし何の未練もないとはつくづく面白みのない。
未練こそがお前の快楽だというのか。
その通り。1000年も生きると大抵の魔女は生き飽きる。わらわは退屈から逃れるために人間たちの運命にブランデーや果実を練り込みケーキのように焼き上げるのだ。オーブンの中で苛烈な運命に踊る人間たちのなんと面白きこと。わらわはこの方面にかけてはちと知られていてな。わらわの料理の腕を見に時には遠方から珍客が見物に来ることすらあるく言っても家具ごときには理解できぬか。
Cannon couldn't understand what the witch was saying. However, he fully realized that this was a terrifying being who treated the fate of humans as a show, enjoying it whenever some harm befell them. However, furniture has no soul or life, much less a fate. Pitiful furniture does nothing but serve until the day they're released from the real world. To furniture like that, the witch who had come to release them from everything was a being to be received with overflowing affection. Even though the day Cannon should have been waiting for impatiently had come, he was confused by his own ability to accept it easily. Why was it? The face of Shannon, the person he loved as a sister, rose to his mind. For some reason, Jessica's face did too. Cannon bit his lower lip hard enough that it hurt. Thinking about Jessica like that was something furniture must never do. Even though he thought he'd known that, even though he'd complained about Shannon's relationship, why was it that Jessica rose into his mind at a time like this? He felt a little shameful at his own naivete. And to forget about Jessica, he turned his thoughts to Shannon. Shannon is also furniture. She has no reason to rejoice at the coming of the day when all will return to nothingness. But Shannon, through a relationship with George, has experienced an emotion forbidden to furniture. Even though she isn't qualified to be bonded with him, she's still trapped in a dream that she isn't allowed to leave. Will Shannon be able to joyfully accept this development? No, she won't. Shannon still has lingering regrets. Those will probably become a great source of pain and torture for her. Those lingering regrets are planted by none other than this witch. Why? Because there would be more interesting. Because that would be more interesting. Nothing more.
シャノンは待ちわびていたはずの日に知ってはならない感情を持ち、とても辛い思いを強いられるだろう。僕たち家具を解放する日を手土産に訪れてくれたあなたに感謝する。そしてシャノンにその日を受け入れがたくしたお前を憎む。
お前もシャノン同様に未練に苦しませてやりたかったぞ。しかしお前は愚直に家具であり続け、わらわに籠絡されることもなかった。しかしシャノンを慕いすぎたようだな。シャノンの未練がそなたの未練となる。それはわらわへの憎悪へと変わるのか。わらわを殺したくば殺してみるがよい。金蔵の家具ならばその程度の力は持っていよう。しかしわらわを殺せば家具どもに安息の日は永遠に訪れぬぞ。そなたにそれが耐えられるのか。わらわによる解放を本当に拒むことができるのか。ひざまずけ。
何を。
ひざまずき、さもなくばわらわはこの場を立ち去ろうぞ。帰りて永遠に姿を現さん。のうカノン、そなたはそれに耐えられるのか。黄金鏡の扉が開かれればそなたの苦難に満ちた家具の生は終わろう。望むならば人間としての生を与えてもよい。さすればもはやジェシカとは対等。貴様も知りたいはずだ。恋の味隠そうとも知っておるぞ。甘き恋の沼にて溺れるシャノンを見てそなたは羨ましがっている。恋の味を知りたくてうずうずしておるのよ。
やめろやめろ。僕を再び籠絡するつもりか。僕はお前を楽しませるためのおもちゃになり果てたりしない。
ほう、ならばシャノンで満足するとしよう。まいた種はそなただけではないのでな。時には実を結ばぬ果実もある。鍵を手にせし者は以下に従いて黄金鏡へ旅立つべし。第一の晩に鍵の選びし6人を生贄に捧げよ。第二の晩に残されし者は寄り添う2人を引き裂き。
Oh God, no, dude. The Witcher cited the epitaph again. It was so sudden and diverged so strongly from the current topic. However, that challenging smile made it seem almost as though she was using that epitaph as a threat against canon.
わからぬか。この碑文の儀式を成し遂げるには第二の晩に寄り添う2人を生贄に捧げねばならぬ。寄り添う2人は誰でもよい。夫婦でもよいし 恋人同士でもよい。誰を選ぶかは儀式のルールにのっとり、わらわが気まぐれに決めてよいことになっている。今のシャノンならこれほどふさわしい第二の番の生贄もないとは思わぬか。
卑劣な。
Cannon realized something. Until today, he thought he'd given up everything else and lived as furniture, acting like furniture. But in reality, that was not true. He loved Shannon too dearly. Therefore, when Shannon was in pain, Cannon shared in that. If only Shannon had continued to live as furniture, indifferently like Cannon, without any regrets in the world, he wouldn't have to be in so much pain. The witch planned to toy with Shannon, who had known the taste of love. No, whom she had taught the taste of love, as she killed her. She wouldn't be welcomed to the Golden Land and granted a compassionate release. Instead, if the witch had her way, she'd be used as a sacrifice, subjected to the utmost of torture and pain, and forcibly turned into a human foundation for this evil ceremony. And this witch would probably make Shannon meet this horrible fate for no reason other than it was amusing to her. Furthermore, she was threatening to do this so she could make Cannon, who had never submitted to the witch, finally give in. It was that simple. In the end, though he had tried to resist the witch and avoid pleasing her, he had only made things more amusing for her. After all, he was furniture. No, a toy. They were nothing but toys meant only to distract her from her boredom.
どうするカノン。ひざまずけばシャノンを生贄に選ぶことを控えんこともないぞ。お前のような玩具を一度屈服させてみたかった。
Without even a fragment of elegance, the witch sneered at Cannon and laughed indecently. That's right, she'd predicted Cannon's submission even before he made that decision himself. Cannon chose to get down on both knees in front of the witch. It didn't matter what happened to himself. However, the one thing he couldn't bear to see was Shannon, who had given him his only reason to live during his days as furniture, being toyed with like this. That was why kissing the shoes of the witch was an easy oath for Cannon to make. When his quivering lips actually touched the witch's shoe, Beatrice let a look of ecstasy rise to her face, then laughed with a voice filled to bursting. At that moment, the witch, who had grown bored of life after 1,000 years, was completely filled with the evil emotion that she lived for. Damn. Crazy Beatrice sprite. Don't scare me. Okay, good. When lunch ended, the relatives moved to the parlor. Rosa had bought a high-class brand of black tea from a famous store in Ginza. That had been served, and the parlor was filled with a pleasant aroma. Since the children were there too, the adults tried to interact like normal relatives on the surface, talking peacefully about recent events and how their children were growing up. It had started raining, so the children couldn't do anything but sit here like this, watching TV, unable to go outside. Maria was apparently a TV kid, and she kept watching a boring daytime TV program without getting bored, giggling all by herself. At first, Badler joined in, seeming to deepen his relationship with Maria, but he had gotten up early that morning and was gradually hit by a wave of drowsiness. Same.
おや、大きなあくびだね。
Damn.
朝がずいぶん早かったんじゃないのかい？
I got fucked away.
ま、そんなとこだよ。
That's such a weird mechanism.
緊張が解けて、雨の音を聞いてるうちに眠くなってきちまった。
緊張？あんだけ態度でかそうにしてて緊張なんてしてたのかよ。
一応俺なりにはな。
God damn it, dude. I'm gonna start yawning. Badler gave another great yawn and slowly lay down on the sofa. He really didn't look tired. George and the others had tried talking to him, thinking it was a sign of boredom. But when they realized he was sleepy, they decided to let him be.
おやおや、食事の後にすぐ横になるとサバになると申しますよ。
Mackerel.
冗談よせやい。ゴーダさん、今夜は子牛のステーキだって言ってたぜ。サバのステーキになっちまう。
熊沢さん、こいつ本当に眠いらしい。毛布を持ってきてあげてくれないかな。
さあどうぞ。
Kumasawa bought a blanket over from the shelf. The large parlor wasn't cold, but the air had gotten a little chilly. So when Badler took the blanket, he immediately wrapped himself up in it like a turtle.
本当に眠かったんだね。何時かに起きる？起こしてあげるよ。
あ、いや、特に希望は。なんか用があったら起こしてくれりゃいいし、なんにもねえんならずっと眠らせてくれりゃいいぜ。おやすみ。
お昼ね。
God damn it, Badler, now you're making me yawn like crazy.
こらマリア、バトラは眠いんだから放っておいてあげなきゃ。熊沢さん、もう一枚毛布をもらえるかな。
Gotta force my eyes wide open. It was doubtful whether Maria really wanted to take a nap. She probably saw Badler wrapped up in a blanket and wanted to do the same. When she received the blanket from Kumasawa, she joyfully wrapped herself up in it and set camp in front of the TV.
ちぇ、せっかく6年ぶりにいた子がみんな揃ったってのによ。こいつ、今回の親族会議の主賓だって自覚全然ねえな。
聞こえてるぞ。のんびり昼飯を食って、しかも外は台風で雨。何もすることがねえってことは、つまり俺の出番じゃねえってことさ。
それはどうかな。
So stiff. Sorry. Just feel stiff in my arm. I don't know.
何も起こらないから何もしないなんて受け身の姿勢じゃ人生は退屈だよ。
違うぜ。そういう意味じゃない。なんつうのかな。
Why does it feel so stiff, dude?
こういう時、俺はこう思うことにしてる。出番じゃねえんだよ。こいつがお芝居だったならさ、俺の出番じゃねえってことなんだよ。だったら、舞台袖でおとなしくしてるに限るってわけさ。
自分の人生はいつだって自分が主人公だろ。そんな脇役根性でどうすんだよ。自分から進んで舞台に上がらなきゃ。
そういう意味じゃねえ。今は俺の出番じゃねえって言いたいのさ。
Whoa, wait. Does he have his, memories? He has his memories from, his battle with Beatrice?
悪いな。眠くて思考がめちゃくちゃだ。勘弁してくれ。
確かに。もうそっとしてあげようよ。
私は聞き捨てならねえぜ。自分の人生はいつだって自分が主人公だよ。ちょっとそのあたり本格的にバトラーと議論したいけどな。
寝ぼけてるだけだよ。深く考えちゃダメさ。
なんかさ、 自分は主役になれないから舞台に上がりたくないみたいな根性、なぜだかすっげえうぜえって思って。
With distant eyes, Jessica gazed out the window at the gray rose garden obscured by rain. When she put her forehead up against the glass, the pleasantly cool sensation seemed to chase away memories she was trying to forget.
まだ君の出番じゃなかったってことなのかい。じゃあいつ君は舞台に上がるんだよ。
Yeah, canon. In that case, who the heck is the main character on this stage? Da, 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 da.
もうやりたい放題じゃねえかよ。なんだこりゃあよ。めちゃくちゃじゃねえか。
そなたがわらわを否定する根拠とする18人だの19人だのという理論が実に滑稽だったのでな。指し手を変えてみたまでよ。そなたがわらわを否定する最大の根拠は単にわらわが駒としてゲーム盤に並ばなかったからというだけのこと。ならばこうしてクイーンを先に指せばいいだけの話ではないか。初手にてクイーンに道を開けるはチェスの王道ではないか。
ふざけやがって。こんなの認められるわけねえじゃねえかよ。魔女が歩いて玄関からやってきただと。ふざけるじゃね
え。なんだなんだ、前回のゲームではそなたに散々自由に手を進めさせたぞ。こたびはわらわがそなたの手に合わせて駒を動かしたに過ぎん。初手にてもう降参か。
くそったれ。ふざけるな。誰が降参なんかするかってんだ。上等な指し手だぜ。好きに進めればいいじゃねえか。なるほどな。まだまだお前の手番は終わってないってわけだ。好きに手を進めりゃいい。今のうちに十分な陣形を築いとく。俺が必ずしのぐ。必ず詰める。言い訳なんてされたくねえ。存分に来やがるってんだ。まだまだこの程度じゃ魔女なんて認められるわけがねえぜ。そうさ。さっきマリアのお菓子を魔法で直したように見えたが、実は同じお菓子をもう一つ懐に忍ばせていて、芝居がかった方法ですり替えてああ、そうさ、そうに決まってる。ダメだぜ。全然ダメだぜ。
I wonder if Battler in this setting actually knows what he's talking about, or if that was just an unconscious thing he was saying. I don't know.
ローザは歌詞が蝶に散る瞬間を見たぞ。
知らねえよ。そんなのは幻覚か手品か。さもなきゃ見間違いだろ。大した問題じゃね
え。説明のつかぬ部分はさまつと切り捨てた。なるほど、それがそなたの受け手であるな。墓穴を掘ったぞ。後ろ宮バトラー。お前の手番はまだ先だぞ。もうしばらくわらわの手番を進めさせてもらう。まだまだこれからだぞ、魔女の手番は。
バトラク、うるさい。When they started hearing Battler's wait, let me save this. What time was it when I stayed at like 3? Oh, it was 3. Let's see, 30, okay. Where they started here at Battler Snores. Oh my god, why the heck did you have to yawn? But the relatives went their separate ways, leaving the parlor and letting Battler sleep in silence. Even though it had been so lively in the parlor with so many people gathered there, when all of them scattered at once and were swallowed up by the vast mansion, it created an eerie silence, with no sound except that of the rain.
いや、そんな人間には一度も会ったことはないぜ、兄貴は。
会ったことなんてないわ。
私もちょっと玄関ホールに出た時に挨拶をしただけです。20歳ちょっとくらいに見えたわ。私は名乗ったんだけど、彼女は名乗らなかった。源氏さんに案内されて2階へ登っていくのを見たの。
なら源氏さんを見つけて直接話を聞いた方が早いや。しかし妙な雲行きになってきよったな。
The mystery wind had spoken to Kirie. Without naming herself, she sneered that Kirie should have had a vague idea as to her identity. That brought someone to mind. And then there was her look-alike, the witch in the portrait. Dude, why is it changed? I missed the one in the dress. That was not bad, but the one in the dress.
自分が肖像画の魔女様だと、そう言いたいってのかよ。
私はそういう意味で笑ったんだろうと理解したわ。私とは初対面でも、私があなたの5歳だと知っているような口ぶりだった。
姉貴、本当にそんな奴は知らないんだな。
くどいわよ。そんな金髪女、この屋敷に出入りしたところなんて見たこともない。
そんなようなことはどうでもいいで。問題はその女が自分はベアトリーチェだと名乗り、お父さんの財産管理人を名乗った場合の方や。
あるいは愛人の娘を自称して遺産の分配を要求するつもりかしら。いずれにせよとんでもないジョーカーが紛れ込んだものね。兄さんが呼んだの？それともお父様が？
まずいな。俺たちは兄貴をうまく言いくるめりゃなんとかできるものと思ってきた。しかしこれじゃ話が振り出しに戻っちまう。
あなたが私の知らないところでどんな策謀を巡らしてたのか知らないけれど、どうも少しは対策を立てる時間を得られたみたいね。
ああ、その金髪姉ちゃんが今からわずかの時間でも対策を協議できる方がマシだ。
何しに現れたかわからへん以上、撃てる対策も限られとるで。向こうの狙いは何なんや。
決まってるでしょ。お父様の遺産の正当な後継者だと言い張るためよ。お父様は未だにベアトリーチェの虜なのよ。その娘がいたなら全財産を譲りたいと言い出すはずだわ。妙な遺言状でも突きつけてくるかもしれない。そりゃ裁判沙汰にすれば半分の4分の1は主張できるかもしれない。多分決着するまで遺産分割はできなくなるわよ。それは困る。私もルドルフも、もちろんローザもね。
俺たちはそれぞれの都合で早急にまとまった金がいる。俺たち最大のウィークポイントってわけだ。なら狙いは何だ、キリエ。読めるか？
初耳なんだけれど、私たちには急ぎまとまったお金が必要だという前提があるのね。
キリエさん、男の商売には攻めの時にこそ軍資金がいるようになることもあるんや。それを分かってな。
なーにルドルフ、キリエさんには話してなかったの？
すまん。 隠してたわけじゃないんだ。実はちょいとした。
いいわ。あなたが私に話す必要がないと判断した話な。それをこの場では追求しない。それより急務は黄金の魔女様の狙いを探ることなんでしょ。
ああ、俺たちの話を整理した上で敵の打ってくる手が見えるか。
Rudolph had a certain measure of trust in Kiryu's unique thinking technique, chessboard thinking. Of course, they didn't give him any more peace of mind than fortune telling, but every time Rudolph was polishing up some important strategy, he'd give a great deal of thought to Kiryu's advice. For a while, Kiryu pressed her finger against her forehead, considering.
今日の今日まで彼女が訪れることが伏せられていた以上、彼女は私たちに何らかのサプライズを与える目的があった。それが財産なのか親族としての認知なのかは分かりかねるわ。でも今日の今日まで訪れることを伏せていたということは、事前に知らせることで対応を打たれたくなかったと言えるかもしれない。ということは彼女の目的は対応を打たれると不利になるものらしい。わかる？
なるほどな。
So if she had a will that father had already written, or something that could prove that she's a blood relative.
それが揺るぎないもので盤石な証拠だというなら、むしろそれは予告するはずだろうよ。
そうね。むしろ疑う立場にある私たちに弁護士でも鑑定士でも連れてこさせて、グーの音も出ないくらいに事実を突きつけるべきなのよ。それができるならね。
So the mere fact that she's launching a surprise attack shows that our foe can't win with a frontal assault.
どうりや。絶対勝てる切り札は堂々と切るに限るで。回りくどい切り方はむしろ切り札を曇らせるもんや。
結論から言うと、皆さんがご就寝の遺産問題に直接もしくは間接的に絡む相当のサプライズが突きつけられると予想されるわね。おそらく向こうはそのインパクトだけでこちらを圧倒できるつもりでいる。しかしその何かは相当のインパクトを伴いながらも絶対ではない。
つまりそこがこちらのつけ込む余地というわけね。
あんたはほんま頭の切れるお人や。これだけでも分かればだいぶ心強いで。つまり相手のペースに飲み込まれるなっちゅうことやな。
結局のところ非常にシンプルな結論よ。相手が何を切り出そうとも焦らず冷静に対応する。交渉術の初歩の初歩じゃない。これじゃあ相手の思考を読めたとはとても言えないわ。
いいや、相変わらずなかなかのもんだぜ。こちらに攻める余地があると分かれば余裕も変わってくるってもんだ。
わからないのは彼女とクラウス兄さんの関係ね。クラウス兄さんにとってもサプライズなのか、それとも彼女を呼んだのは他でもないクラウス兄さん自身なのか。もし後者だったなら随分と厄介なことになるかもしれないわよ。
そうね。
Seems like a lot of dialogues are autoplay.
謎の女を親族会議の当日にこっそり呼びつける。いやらしいセンスがどことなく兄さんっぽい感じもする。
兄貴、こうしよう。女の正体がはっきりと証明できない限り、俺らはその女のいかなる身分も認めない。
それが最善ね。現に桐江さんに対して名乗ってすらいない。正体不明の女の発言で私たちの会員がかき回されちゃたまらないわ。
血縁証明でも示してみせるかもしれんで。お父さんの血が流れてることが例えば母子手帳でも示されたらどうにもならん。
証明物なんかいくらでも偽装を疑える。仮にそれが本物だったとしても当人が本人だと証明するには病院沙汰にしなきゃならん。 少なくとも今のロッキン島でそれを証明することは不可能だ。
その通りね。つまりこういうことよ。今の六軒島では何が示されても真実だと受け入れることはできない。台風が去ってしかるべき場所で証明してみせるまで何も信じられないってことよ。
そういうので上げ足を取りまくるのは姉貴の得意技だな。任せるぜ。
バカ言ってんじゃないわよ。あんたも協力するのよ。私たちにはお金がいる。それも急ぎまとまった額が。私たちは運命共同体よ。こんなところでひょっこり現れた謎の女に遺産の当てをぶち壊されてたまるもんですか。
Rudolph and Eva always formed united siblings at times like this, sickened by the idea that their own inheritance might be snatched away by an outsider. Kitty noticed how inimitable they looked, shook her head slightly, and gave a small sign as she gazed out the window. Outside, it was still raining heavily, and everything was gray, in all its vibrance. The lush garden that the sun had shone on earlier felt like alive. For some reason, the words Eva said a second ago kept repeating in her head. So in other words, it's something like this. No matter what's shown to us on the Okajima, it can't be accepted as truth. There's an odd nuance to those words. At the moment, the island was closed off by the typhoon and isolated. They had access to no public institutions and no hospital. So on this island, no matter what manner of proof related to the outside world was shown, it would always be possible for it to call it a lie. It would be impossible to prove that something was a truth. Now that they were isolated from the outside, all truths whose proofs lay out in the outside world would be called lies. So does that mean that right now in Brokenjima, no truth exists at all? Does it mean that everything will now be ruled by lies alone? It almost gives the illusion that we've left the human world of truth and have been shut away inside another world, one of lies. Kirei remembered that woman's appearance one more time. She remembered both what she had looked like and the witch of the portrait. On the island, which had been cut off from the world of humans and shut away in the world of non-humans, a non-human being has come to visit. Kirei couldn't think of the smile that had appeared on that woman's face as anything other than the portrait of misfortune. I get the feeling my chessboard thinking was the vital premise, one that'll be necessary to understand the misfortune-bearing smile. Yes. That smile made me feel as though someone inhuman was mocking me. I based my reasoning on the assumption that our opponent is human, like us. However, just like the island is now, she may be a being that isn't human, and human values may not matter to her. That's true. All of our reasoning is useless. For what reason has the witch been invited here today? Only one thing is certain. Fuck, I didn't mean to do that. I did not mean to do that. God dang it. Now, in this instant, she's staying somewhere in this vast mansion. Dun, 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 dun.
今日のお昼にお外で私たち会ったわよね、女の人に。あれは誰？
ベアトリーチェ。
おお、何度も言ってる。ベアトリーチェ。
マリアは以前にベアトリーチェと会ったことがあるの？
おお、毎年会ってる。
毎年？この六軒島のお屋敷で？
おお。
じゃわからないでしょ。そうなの？
うん。
いつから会ってるの？何年前から？
おお、わかんない。
わからない？どうして？去年？一昨年？
もっと前から。おお。
Rosa was astonished. Only the Ushiromiya family mansion existed on this island, so there couldn't have been any humans other than themselves here. And yet Maria said she had been meeting with this suspicious woman every year during the family conference. What Maria said was the truth. That strange woman called Beatrice had been at the family conference every year. That's insane. Is Maria saying that eerie woman was at the family conference every year? None of us ever noticed it? Even though Rosa had just met the woman herself a couple of hours ago in the Rose Garden, she was overcome with a strange emotion that told her not to accept that existence. What in the world did I meet earlier today in the Rose Garden as the typhoon grew near and the winds roared?
マリア、あなたは毎年彼女と会ってると言ったわね。会って何をしてるの？
お歌を歌ったり、魔法を習ったり、魔法陣の書き方も習うの。
そう、それはすごいわね。マリアがよく自由帳に落書きじゃない、魔法陣を書いたりしてるわよね。それも彼女に教えてもらったの。
ベアトリーチェにね、お手本書いてもらうの。ほらほら、見て見て。
Maria joyfully fished around in her handbag. Then she drew out a single notebook and began opening to that page. Most of the pages were covered with drawings that were literally scribbles. All of them were occult-like things, and while it might sound rude to Maria, who was joyfully flipping through the pages, they were all creepy.
ほらこれ、ベアトリーチェが書いてくれた。
Wah, 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 wah. Each one of the pages in the group Maria opened to had an eerie magic circle. Furthermore, at a glance, Rosa could see that Maria hadn't drawn them. The strength of the strokes and the thickness of the lines, how clean the shape was. By itself, it wasn't enough to guess the background of the person who would have written it. But it was enough for Rosa to be sure that it was someone older than Maria. Rosa had to accept it now. There really was a person in Rokijima that she herself hadn't known existed until now. This person had come to the family conference every year to play with Maria.
マリア、その魔女のベアトリーチェはここに住んでいるの？それとも私たちのように島の外に住んでいるの？
おう、ベアトリーチェは六軒島の魔女だからこの島に住んでる。
じゃあ親族会議のない日にもこの島にいると言う。ふうじゃわからないでしょ。どうなの？
What in the... I cannot believe this. How long has this unknown witch been living here on this island? I used to live on this island. Lived on this island, passed my time in the mansion in the Rose Garden. Even so, I never encountered a witch like that. Right? Thunder.
ママ、ママ、どうしたの？ママ。
頭が痛い。
I was probably getting a little mixed up with my memories from when I was a young girl. When I was young, I was terrified of the witch, unlike Maria. So for me, the name Beatrice was a synonym for terror. Surely my fear from those days had been revived by the appearance of a woman going by that name. She cannot be a witch. She's obviously a human calling herself Beatrice, right? That's right. So, that witch entrusted me with an envelope. What in the world could that be? Rosa pulled that western envelope out of her pocket. It was one of the envelopes that bore the Ushiromiya family crest, which Kinzo used for his personal letters. Its red sealing wax had been sealed by the head's ring, which Kinzo held, which meant this envelope belonged to the Ushiromiya family head. In other words, it was from father. Why was a woman calling herself Beatrice holding it, and why did she give it to me? That's right. I'm sure she said to read this aloud at dinner. What in the world could be written inside? Sense of uncertainty gripped Rosa, as if opening this envelope might let loose incredible misfortune. However, at the same time, a little curiosity sprouted up too, urging her to find out what was written outside before the other siblings could. Using common sense, one might guess that it contained a huge decision somehow related to father's inheritance. Actually, since she'd received it from a woman who called herself Beatrice, there simply had to be some connection. Does it mean this person wants, not just the 4, but the total of 5 people to be included in the inheritance? I need a large sum of money, and I can't wait long. I feel like such a sinful daughter for discussing father's inheritance while he's still alive. But this is no time to spout off cheap ideals, and I've even colluded with Rudolf Nissan and Eva Nissan in order to get the money out of Kraus Nissan. Coming from that position, I can't help but see the appearance of the witch as a sign of approaching misfortune. What could be written here? I'm sure it's something frightening. Shall I read it secretly myself first? No. The witch requested that it be read at the dinner table with everyone gathered. But if that's what she wanted, why couldn't she just read it aloud herself at dinner? Why did she go through all the trouble of entrusting it to me? Simply put, is it because she doesn't mind if I read it secretly beforehand? It'd be better to secretly read the contents first. I understand that being breaking my promise, but this is no longer the time for cheap ideals. Depending on the contents, I should probably discuss with Eva Nissan and Rudolf Nissan too. They're always really good thinkers when it comes to this kind of thing. When I gulp, put my hand on the red sealing wax, something suddenly pulled on my sleeve, and I let out a small scream.
何？マリアなの？驚かせないで。何？
おー、ダメ。
Maria's expression was the same portent of misfortune she'd felt from the witch. It sent a tingle up her spine.
ベアトリーチェはママに、その手紙は晩餐で読みなさいって言った。魔女の約束は破っちゃダメだよ。
違うわよ。ちょっと封筒を見ただけじゃない。約束は守るわよ。ママもいつもマリアに約束は守りなさいって言って、ママももちろん約束は守るわよ。
うん、ママはいい子。
その笑い方可愛くないからやめなさい。
おー。
そういえばマリアも封筒をもらったわよね。中にはなんて書いてあったの？
開けてない。ベアトリーチェは開ける時が来るまで開けちゃダメって言った。だから大事に持ってる。うん。
そうマリアはベアトリーチェの言うことはちゃんと聞くのね。
うん、マリアはベアトリーチェの弟子だから、お師匠の言うことはちゃんと聞くの。
そう。
Rosa realized something. Mixing with Maria's gaze was the glint of someone that wasn't her. Rosa broke the rules and opened the envelope here. Beatrice had definitely learned nothing. Because Maria was the witch's disciple, Maria was in contact with that witch.
ママは約束を守るわ。だから安心するようベアトリーチェに言ってね。
うん、伝える。
ねえマリア、ベアトリーチェとお話をしたいんだけど、どうすれば会えるのかしら。
知らない。ベアトリーチェはとても気まぐれだから、いつも突然姿を現すの。マリアからは会う方法を知らない。でもね、いつもマリアのことを見てるの。だからマリアが困っていると後できっと助けてくれるの。きっとね、姿を消してマリアの近くに隠れてるんだよ。
その笑いをやめなさいといつも言ってるでしょ。
Rosa reflexively hit Maria on the head. Well, right in front of Beatrice. That put us up to Maria's laughing, but it wasn't able to erase the color that had risen to those eyes. clothing that seemed to bear a portent of misfortune. Rosa swore. She swore that at least until they left this island, she would not leave Maria alone. She couldn't allow an unknown being to make direct contact with her daughter any longer. Ding, ding. Is the time gonna change? Please? Yes. 4 p.m. Oh. Damn it. I wanted to go 7 or 8, but 6 is fine. 6 is fine.
マリア、戻ってこねえな。
Save it.
またローザおばさんに叱られてるのかな。
Oh yeah. It's a good assumption to make. Maria's never safe from her mom. That's crazy. Ever since they'd met Maria at the airport, she'd been romping around chatting about Halloween the whole time. But maybe she'd cut loose a little too much, acting like a little too boisterous on the plane, on the boat, and during lunch, because Rosa had cautioned her several times. Times like that, Aunt Rosa tended not to scold her much in front of people. More often, she would take Maria aside and scold her alone. So since Maria had been called off somewhere, they figured she must be getting scolded. Wow, that scared me. Fuck. When they looked at the clock, they realized it was almost 6 o'clock. Of course, they couldn't imagine she'd been getting scolded all this time. Maybe it was time for some anime. Maybe it was time for some anime she watched every week to start. She probably had left the mansion's parlor.
ひょっとするとバトラ様がお目覚めになって一緒に遊ばれているのかもしれませんね。
マリアちゃんにとってバトラ君は新しい友達のような感じだったろうからね。そのバトラ君と飛行場でハロウィンごっこをするのがきっととても楽しかったんだよ。
バトラもずいぶんはしゃいでたな。あいつ図体はでかくなったってのに中身は昔から全然変わらねえぜ。
そうですね。バトラ様は6年前のままでいてくださった気がします。
シャノンは6年前のバトラ君のこと覚えてるんだ。
ええ、何しろ大層お元気な方でしたから
僕も6年前に4人で遊んだことを思い出すよ。シャノンはだいぶお姉さん風だったね。
そうだな。今よりしっかりしてた気がするぜ。
それはあの頃はそのいろいろと失礼いたしました。
いいよ、そんな礼儀云々は。仕事中はともかく、こうして休み時間に過ごす時の僕らはあの頃から変わらない仲良しで居続けたいね。
そうだぜ。使用人のシャノンとオフの時の作用は使い分けていいだろう。奴隷じゃないんだぜ。使用人の仕事をしてるだけじゃないかい。私はシャノンとはサヨとは一番古い友人だと思ってるぜ。
ありがとうございます、お嬢様。
It seemed that Shen had understood the hidden meaning behind Jessica's words. After all, she'd heard a bit about Jessica and Cannon's history from both of them. Apparently, George has heard something from that history too. He walked towards the window and looked up at the darkening, rainy sky.
カノン君はまだ幼いのに考え方が少し背伸びしてるところがあると思うんです。
いや
Come on, quit it already.
まあ私も雰囲気に流されてたところはあったと思うしさ。まあシャノンたちのことを見てちょっと羨ましいとか思って気がせいていたところもあったかもしれねえな。私のことなんかどうでもいいだろ。だいぶいい感じなんだろ。
どうなんでしょう。
うん、とてもいい感じだよ。
Shannon was lost for words, her face red, while George answered bright and immediately. That carefree attitude made it easy to see their relationship was proceeding so perfectly it'd make anyone envious.
焼けるぜ。
焼けるぜ。
ってことはシャノンもそのうち寿退社ってわけなんだ。
どうなんでしょう。私にはその。
どうなんだろうね。僕にもわからないね。
George left teasingly, as though pressing Shannon for an answer. It's probably the way they usually flirted when they were alone. Jessica could only smile bitterly and say yes, yes, thank you, that's enough.
僕には夢がある。
Okay, Eden.
それは一国一城の主になりたいというビジネス的な野望だけじゃない。生涯を共にできる伴侶と幸せな家族を築きたいという夢もある。子供は最低でも2人欲しいとか、
Damn.
家族で一緒にできるスポーツをしたいねとか、他にもいろいろ。そんな話をよくシャノンとはするよ。こんなことを話すといつもシャノンには気が早いですねと笑われるんだけど、僕はこの年のうちからもうなぜか落ち着いた老後のことを考えてしまうんだよ。元気に成長した子供たちと駆け回る孫たちと、そういうものに囲まれていつまでもシャノンと2人ゆっくりと余生を送れたらなって。
そりゃ確かに気の早い話だぜ。でもなんていうのか、そのジョージ兄さんらしい話だな。
そんな家族に囲まれたらさぞ素敵でしょうね。私が思い描いていた理想の家族もそんな感じだったと思います。
To Shannon, who had been raised in an orphanage, that harmonious image of a family was probably something to be yearned for. And George, who had made an absolute promise to grant that wish for her, may truly have been a fitting person for her to spend her life for. Okay. To Jessica, Shannon was a precious friend. George was surely the one most fit to entrust that friend's future to. Damn. You can tell I'm getting tired. By the way, I'm sluggishly reading these.
まあ
I might
水
stop
を
it
差すわけじゃねえけ
after
ど、
this chapter.
秀吉おじさんはともかくエヴァおばさんとかどうなわけ？説得は大変じゃないの？
そんなことは誰も気にする必要はないよ。僕が誰を伴侶に選ぶかは誰にもはばかられない。シャノンは僕が幸せにする。それに誰の許可が？
おお、ジョージ兄さんかっこいいぜ。よくそんな恥ずかしいセリフを堂々と。昔の兄さんはそういうキャラじゃなかったと思ったんだけどな。
男子3日合わざれば刮目して待つべしさ。僕だって成長する。シャノンを幸せにするために僕はもっともっと勉強してふさわしい男に成長するつもりだよ。
Maybe even George realized how embarrassing the words coming out of his mouth were. His face turned very slightly red, and he scratched his head.
ジョージさん。
大丈夫。母さんは確かにごねるかもしれないけど、僕に任せておけばいい。親族全員に君が僕の伴侶だと認めさせてみせる。
すっげえな。シャノンが羨ましいぜ、まったく。
そこまで言ってもらえて、恐縮です。
っていうかよ、私はお邪魔虫なんじゃないかって気がしてきたぜ。席を外した方がいいか？
Jessica rose with a forced smile from the bed she'd been sitting on. The phone rang. Before Jessica picked up the receiver, wondering what this could be about, Shannon looked at the clock and jumped. Apparently she spent too much time on her break.
すみません。私、お勤めの時間を忘れてこれで失礼します。
At the same time, Jessica picked up the phone and Shannon began dashing out of the room.
あ、シャノン、またいつもの時間にいつもの場所で。
はい。失礼します。もしもし、ジェシカです。ああ、ゲンジさん。はい。シャノンは今そっちに戻ってますよ。私たちが引き止めちゃったんです。叱らないでやってください。ええ。はい。
そっか、もうじき夕飯の準備の時間なんだね。
No, I'm gonna hunger myself. Many plates were lined up on the counter in the kitchen. Oh, why did Badler have to yawn, bro? The number of plates lined up there was 19. That was one more than should have been set up for the annual family conference.
納得できません。どうして私が直接お届けに上がってはならないのですか。
Goda-san flared up at Genji, paying no heed to the pot that was spitting steam. The master enjoyed eating alone in his study, so his food needed to be served in that room. However, that was something that always happened. Of course, Goda-san would want to set the table for the master with his own hands, since he'd put his heart and soul into his cooking. But the master had imposed a strict rule that none but the servants bearing the golden eagle crest enter his study. So, while Goda-san would be able to greet the master from outside the study, not once had been granted the honor of carrying his cooking inside. Goda-san was always irritated by this. Of course, he was a newcomer in terms of years of service. However, he had piled up plenty of experience from his previous jobs and was quite confident that he'd be able to perform in front of the Kinzo in a manner that would do him no disservice. And yet, simply because he was not permitted to wear the golden eagle, he sought him and messed with this honor. Can you imagine what damage that would do to his pride? You might think tonight was a repeat of that, but it wasn't. Because tonight there was a person other than the master who wanted their food carried to the room. Apparently, this person is an extremely rare and honored guest, and we've been given strict orders to treat them in the same manner as the master, the family head. Goda-san must have wanted to earn some points by serving this honored guest with his own hands. After all, he was an extremely vain person. If he wasn't qualified to serve the master, then at least the guest of the same rank. He simply couldn't find time during lunch, so Kennen-san had gone in his place. So he truly desired to personally serve this person tonight's meal, the best dinner of the year. Again, you seem to put a stop to that. Something about how Goda-san didn't wear the golden eagle. After being told once more that he wasn't qualified, Goda-san lost his patience. And so, so heartrending, Goda-san. I cannot do anything more than watch like this from the shadows.
熊沢さん、油を売っている暇があったら食堂の準備をしてきてください。テーブルクロスは大丈夫ですか？
これは失礼を。
When it became her turn to bear his wrath, Kuma-sama slid out into the hall.
ベアトリーチェ様は親方様と全く同格のお方です。ルールも親方様のそれと同じものを尊ばなくてはならない。ゴーダは自分の仕事に専念し、親族の皆さんのお相手をするよう。
そのようなお客様相手に源氏さんならともかくこんな子供を生かせていいのですか？もし何かの粗相があったら失礼にあたります。確かに彼らの年季は長いですが、しかるべきところで修行をしたことがあるわけじゃない。正直に申し上げてお客様に接する基礎ができていないのです。
Goda spoke bluntly, even though Shannon was standing right there in the kitchen. Shannon was the one whom Genji had ordered to carry the dinner to Beatrice's room. By the ranking system among the servants permitted to wear the golden eagle, Shannon certainly was the second highest in rank. At the highest ranked Genji went to set the table in Kinzo's room, Then it fell to Shannon and set the table in Beatrice's room. Goda's pride was always horribly injured by this ranking system. At times like this, he'd speak out bluntly and rudely against Shannon and Cannon. Goda kept raising examples of each of Shannon's failures until now, making a ruckus about how she couldn't do this or was terrible at that. Shannon, who listened to this with her head hung in shame, heard Cannon's voice from behind her. Cannon had been leaning against the wall in the hallway near the kitchen entrance, a blind spot from the inside, and had been listening to all of this. He probably knew that if he entered the kitchen, sparks would start to fly away. Fly his way.
言わせておきなよ。最低の男だ。
でも接待の基礎の勉強になるし、郷田さんはたくさん勉強してるからとても参考に。
姉さんは優しいね。
それより貴賓室のお客様がベアトリーチェ様だというのは本当なの？
うん。昼食の配膳に行かされた時に会った。間違いなくあいつだったよ。
そう、お元気そうだった？
Can't remember that he and Shannon had different impressions of Beatrice. To Shannon, Beatrice was the cupid of love who had granted her magic to establish the relationship with George. Judging by his expression that rose to her face, it looked like she couldn't wait to inform Beatrice of how her relationship with George had progressed. However, Cannon already knew. That witch came here with a terrifying goal in mind. The nebulous witch that only they'd been able to see in the past had now revived so fully that she could walk openly through the front door, and even have dinner carried to her. Dun, 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 dun. Once, when she'd vanished in front of Cannon, the witch said something about how her own power was still weak. So if that witch was now appearing so openly, did it mean she'd finally regained her former power? And she said something else too. She definitely said that she'd sown the seeds of love, while fully aware that they would fail. She said even more. She definitely said that the day had finally come upon which the door to the Golden Land would be opened. Yes.
シャノン、あいつは親方様と何かの怪しげな儀式をし、きっと想像もできない恐ろしいことをする。それには誰も抗えない。
何の話なの？
あいつはやってきたんだ。親方様が求めた黄金鏡の扉を開き、全てを黄金鏡に戻すために。あいつは僕に確かにそう言った。
In the past, two of them as furniture working for Ginzo had been told what opening the door to the Golden Land meant, so Shannon understood everything without even having to ask a single question. Because of that, she felt a deep despair. Something tore at Cannon's heart as he looked at the expression twisted with grief.
そうだ。どうして今になって。
だから言ったんだ。僕らは家具だって。人間の真似事なんかして恋なんかするから。僕たちの役目の終わるこの日を素直に受け入れられない。い
つかこの日が訪れることを。でもいつまで経っても訪れなくて、私たちはいつまで家具として苦しめばいいのか。だから私思った。安息の日なんて永遠に訪れないんだって。
僕だってそう思ってたさ。でも必ずいつか訪れるって僕は知ったから。僕は家具としての自覚を忘れなかったんだ。なのに姉さんは忘れた。
私が悪いのね。私が。
ああ、姉さんが悪い。
Beatrice's fault.
姉さんさえ恋を覚えなかったら、僕たちはようやく訪れた今日を喜び合うはずだった。姉さんがくだらない未練を作ってしまったんだ。必ず去らなければならない世界なのに。
儀式は今夜始まるの？
あと今夜ジョージ様は姉さんに婚約指輪を贈るだろうって。
That was a fact. George supposedly had an engagement ring hidden in his pocket today. And surely he would hand it over tonight.
あいつは姉さんとジョージ様を第二の番の生贄に使うつもりで二人の仲をくっつけてばかる。姉さんはあいつにそそのかされた上利用されたんだよ。
そうだったの。考えたこともなかったわ。
でもあいつは言ったよ。もし今夜その婚約指輪を受け取らなかったなら姉さんを生贄に選ばないと約束した。僕たちが揃って黄金鏡へ行ける確率はとても低いと思う。13人が生贄になる。生き残るのは5人だけ。その中に僕たち2人が入れる確率は本当に低い。でも姉さんだけでもその約束が得られるなら確率はもっと上がる。僕はかけたいんだ。黄金鏡には救いがある。僕たちはそこへたどり着き人間を手に入れるんだ。そして姉さんと2人で人間としての人生を歩みたいんだよ。そうすれば本当の恋だってできるかもしれない。
かつての私たちは黄金鏡へ行けることを夢見てたね。そこへ行けばどんな願いでも叶う。私たちをこの苦しみから救ってくれる。そう信じてた。
However, in this ceremony, only a few people would be invited to the Golden Land chosen by fate and chance. Everyone else would lose their life as a sacrifice midway through the ceremony. However, in the past, Shannon and Kennen had thought that whether they reached the Golden Land or were sacrificed, they would still be released from their duties as furniture. That meant the ceremony would definitely bring release to furniture like them, no matter what had happened.
僕は嫌だ。これまでの辛かった分を姉さんと取り戻したい。生贄なんてごめんだ。僕と姉さんは生き残る。そして2人で黄金鏡へたどり着く。だから姉さんを第二の番の生贄になんかさせない。頼むよ姉さん。あの男の指輪を受け取らないで。それを受け取らなければあいつは姉さんを生贄には選ばないと約束してくれた。
それはできないよ。今夜の指輪はとても特別なもの。それを受け取らないことは
姉さん、儀式の生贄は魔女が気まぐれに決めることになってる。その魔女が姉さんだけは見逃すと約束してくれたんだよ。姉さんだけは絶対に黄金鏡へ行けるんだ。
私だけ？カノン君は？
僕は魔女のゲームで十分さ。あいつの魔女なんかかいくぐってやる。僕は無力じゃない。わずかの確率を無理やり掴み取ってやる。僕たちのせいなんて所詮は仮初めじゃないか。本当の人生を始めるために僕たちは黄金鏡へたどり着こう。そして人間を手に入れよう。そうしたらさ、僕も姉さんみたいに恋が知れるかな。もう家具だからって人を泣かせずに済むかな。僕はもう家具は嫌だ。絶対に人間になってやる。こんな苦しみから絶対に。
There were tears in Kennen's eyes. By now, Kennen had noticed Shannon hadn't been the only one to know and suffer from the taste of love. He had too. The tears Jessica had shown him that day, and Jessica's pitiful face as she tried to smooth things over and stay bright ever since then, has slowly brought some kind of change into Kennen's heart without him knowing it. Damn.
シャノン、さっきから呼んでいる。
Shannon jumped at the sudden sound of Genji's voice. Apparently he had called her for her repeatedly. She hurriedly answered. When she turned back, Kennen had disappeared. It seemed he didn't feel like showing his tears to anybody.
はい、 ぼんやりしていてすみません。
昼食はカノンに頼んだが、本来は私の次の序列のお前が運ぶべきものだ。ベアトリーチェ様は当家の最高の賓客だ。それ以上の賓客はいない。もう一人の親方様と思い、丁重に頼む。
よろしいですか。くれぐれも粗相のないようにお願いしますよ。経験の未熟なあなたに託すのは非常に心苦しいですが、当家のルールとあっては仕方ありません。くれぐれも頼みますよ。
Godad officially agreed, but he glared at Shannon with an expression that told her he definitely wouldn't forgive any mistakes. Even Shannon felt that Godad would as well go himself if he was so desperate to go. But she considered this was one of her responsibilities as the one who had been allowed to wear the golden eagle and had to give up. And anyway, I wanted to meet Beatrice. What will I talk about? What will I ask? I don't know. Will this be a meaning of gratitude? Or one of grief? Or else, what? I don't know. Shannon piled the witch's food onto the serving cart and left the kitchen at a slow pace. The person knocking was Kraus.
お父さん、今日は年に一度の親族会議です。お父さんを一目見ようと兄弟が揃ったのではありませんか。
黙れ。出ぬと言っている。源氏、そこにいるのであろう。なぜ私の指示した通りに食事をここへ運ばせんのか。
Kinzo screamed across the door. Genji was waiting behind Kraus.
お食事は書斎へ運べるよう準備しております。ただ、クラウス様が今夜はどうか下へ降りていただきたいと。お父さん、毎日とは言いません。せめて今夜だけでも家族で揃ってはくれませんか。
誰が家族か。貴様はいつから生き倒れを待つハゲタカたちを家族と呼ぶようになったのか。腐りて湧き出すウジ虫を家族と呼ぶようになったのか。
やれやれ。
Kraus shrugged at this answer, which he had half accepted.
源氏、言われた通りに食事をここへ運べ。なぜ言うことを聞かぬ。なぜ
源氏さん、後を頼みます。もうあの人に私の声は届かんね。
Kraus gave his head a small shake and quickly turned his back and went to his study. He had only come calling to save face in front of his siblings, knowing full well how useless this was. With the Genji watched Kraus disappear from the stairs, he called again across the door.
親方様、お食事を運ぶ準備はできております。南條先生の分はいかがいたしますか。
Nanjo could be seen in the study, because Kinzo had forcefully pestered him into finishing their long-lasting chess game. They'd been playing against each other since the early evening. Nanjo had announced as a doctor that Kinzo's days were numbered, so he couldn't refuse if Kinzo demanded that they finish this game while he still lived. Kinzo was thinking deeply about his move, concentrating more than usual. It had been Kinzo's turn for quite some time, and Nanjo, who was tired of waiting, had randomly pulled out a book on magic that he couldn't understand and was skimming it.
金蔵さん、盤面を前に腕を組むだけではいい一手は出ませんぞ。一つ休憩をして頭をリフレッシュしてみるのもいいのではありませんかな。
黙れ。守りはこれで十分か。ビショップやナイトに隙間を突かれはしないか。
Today, Kinzo was focused on maintaining a strong defense. Normally, Kinzo's motto was that offense was the best defense. However, today was completely the opposite.
私も腹が減りました。ここいらで中断しませんか。それに休みなく頭を回転させておりましたから、もう頭がクラクラです。
それは困る。チェスは互いに常に最善手を指さねばならん。そうでない一手は理解に苦しみ、思考を読むゲームを狂わせてしまう。それでは今日を著しく削ぐというものだ。
Oh wow, Oh wow, I fell asleep. Bruh. I fell asleep for like 10 seconds. And the sound of the rain woke me up. I wanna end it here, but I wanna wait till I get to like new chapter. Kinzo sighed deeply and finally shifted his gaze from the board. Chess isn't chess without an opponent. That opponent is tired and wants to spend the game. There's no getting around to it.
確かにチェスの目的は勝利を目指すことで、そしてそれを読み合う知的ゲームです。ですが勝利以外にもう一つ目的があることを金蔵さんはお忘れではありませんかな。
なんだと？勝利以外にどんな目的があるというのか。
金蔵さんがそんなこともお忘れとは。チェスを通しですぞ。
参ったな。それは確かずいぶん昔に私がお前に言った言葉だったはず。これは参った。
Kinzo, who almost always wore a frown, relaxed his face for once and laughed. Nandra felt like he'd been reunited with a close friend he hadn't seen in ages.
そういうことです。一本取られたついでにどうです？私と下に降りて食事と行きませんかな。食後にコーヒーと一緒にカスパロフの中盤についての議論でもいかがです？
私はもうこの部屋から出られない。儀式は始まっているのでな。
そうですか。では私はお腹もペコペコですからな。下へ降りることにします。気が向いたらいつでも。
南條、ありがと
う。おや、何の礼ですかな。
お前とのチェスの決着はつかなかった。だが私が忘れていたチェスの目的はどうやら果たせたらしい。それはどうもチェックメイトと同じくらい重要なものであったらしい。
らしくもない。何の干渉ですかな。
お前が言ったのではないか。私には余命がないと。もう行け。そしてもうこの部屋へ来るな。続きは黄金鏡でやろ
う。いいですが仕切り直しですぞ。ルークが落ちてしまったのは痛手ですのでな。それでは後ほど。
ああ、後ほどな。黄金鏡か煉獄か。あるいは次の世で。
Nandra didn't say anything beyond that, and with the motion made smooth by familiarity, pushed the button on the table that would release the auto lock. Then after looking at Kinzo's back one last time, he left the study. One last time. As he did, Genji's voice came from the hall.
それでは親方様、これより夕食をお運びいたします。
味わわねばな。準備を頼む。
かしこまりました。
の部屋を今日まで問え旗への結界で厳重に包んだ。あれのルーレットが私を選ぼうとも必ずや弾き返す。そして生き残り黄金鏡へたどり着くうちの一人は絶対に私となる。私を冥府へ連れ去ろうとする死神どもの来訪をも拒もうぞ。
失礼します。お食事の準備に参りました。
Shannon entered the VIP room, bowing her head and pushing the serving cart. The young woman by the window, gazing out into the supposedly empty darkness, was definitely that witch.
今度はシャノンか。懐かしいな。ほう、顔色がだいぶ良くなったではないか。
I think I'm gonna stop right here. I can't take it anymore. I'm gonna fall asleep. I will fall asleep. Is it 4:30? It is 4:30. Ah. Yeah, but I'm ending this trip here. I can't, dude. I can't. I will literally fucking... My eyes will explode.